Hi
You can go
everyone.
ahead.
Hi everyone. Thank you for joining the live stream. I'm Tanay. I'm a lead field AI engineer at DeepSet, and today I'm gonna walk you through a demo of the DeepSet AI platform, which is a platform for building customized, production-ready AI applications. And here, what you see is the DeepSet AI platform. And what I would like to start off is with the off-the-shelf integrations that we have. So it's a model and vendor agnostic platform where you can work with many different LLMs. For instance, you can bring in any open source models from Hugging Face. You can bring in commercial models like OpenAI, Cohere, Anthropic. You can pull in models from Azure, Google. Similarly, if you're also running different models, embedding models, LLM on NVIDIA chips, then you can also integrate that with the DeepSet platform. So these are some of the model integration. On top of that, you can also bring in data from an external data lake, for example, a Snowflake data lake or MongoDB, or you can also connect to any of the SQL databases using the SQL Alchemy integration that we have. And all of these integrations are essentially powered by our rich open source community. So Haystack is a framework which is also maintained by us. And then here you would see we have 70 plus integrations. Some of them are maintained by DeepSet, the company, but some of them are maintained by the open source community. And here you can see we have many different integrations for model providers, for monitoring tool, for document stores, including vector databases. So we have 15 plus integrations for vector databases, also different kinds of evaluation framework. For example, you can use a Raga style evaluation, or you can use DeepEval. Similarly, uh, different kinds of integration. For instance, for monitoring, for example, so you can use Langfuse, or for instance, Bayesian biases, Wave Tracer. And then yeah, so these are all the integrations that we have. And then what we have essentially is, think of it as what we call workspaces. These are essentially namespaces in the context of software development, and they can be used to isolate all the data that you have and all the AI applications that you are building. And you can also have role-based access control on each of these workspaces. So if you're a large organization, you might have a different HR team, a finance team, a legal team, so you can have a different workspaces for each of them. Or some of our customers also use them for segregating different kind of developer environments. So for example, a different staging workspace, a different dev workspace, and a different production workspace. So it's kind of arbitrary. You can decide how you want to split that. And then once you have a workspace, let's go into, let's say, a quarterly earning call transcript. It's a finance workspace that I have here in the demo. And here you can upload files. And these files can be in any arbitrary format. We don't have any restrictions from the platform side on what kind of files that you can upload, as long as there's an appropriate converter, which I will show in a moment, is there to convert that file. We have off-the-shelf converters available for most of the file types, including PDFs, CSVs, Markdown, spreadsheets, XML, JSONs, and so on, including images as well. And what you can do is either you can upload these files directly from the UI, but of course you can also upload them programmatically using our REST APIs or our Python SDK. So if you have any other external systems that you would like to sync with DeepSet, then you can use them to programmatically connect. And then once you have this file, what you can do is you can generate an index, and we have some standard templates for the index. So let's look at, for instance, this index which can generate AI generated metadata for the files. And now if we see here, it's a visual low code / no code editor, and here it's defining the indexing and the data processing flow for the raw files that are coming in the system. So here we can see, for example, the files are the input for this particular workflow, and here this particular workflow is handling different kinds of file types. So plain files, PDF, Markdown, HTML, docx file, presentation, spreadsheets. And if you want to add any new converter, then all you do is drag and drop and connect the right edges. And there's a lot of guidance in the visual builder which helps you to connect the right edges for the nodes together. And the most interesting part here is, so there are all these files that are coming in, and then you can split the files. You can define how you want to split it. So for instance, in this case, we are splitting by word, but you can also do it by sentence. You can do it by page, depending on the use case. And then you can use LLM to generate any kind of arbitrary metadata. So it could be zero-shot classification using metadata, for example, extracting categories. It could be extracting date. In this case, it's extracting summary of the document, and here we can see the prompt that's being used. So here the prompt is to create a approximately 100-word summary for the prompt. And then once you have that, you can index all of these files in a vector database. In this case, there's a managed instance of OpenSearch document store, but of course you can also use any other supported vector database here. And good thing is here, whatever you see visually, with just one click, you can also convert that to code and YAML representation. And what that means and what that really enables is you can ship AI the way you ship the rest of your software. Why? Because now you can take this YAML, you can put that in your version control system. So for instance, if you're using something like GitHub, then you can put them under GitHub Actions. So you can have versioning, you can have tag-based releases, you can do automated deployments, run some automated tests. So you can avoid sort of doing ClickOps where there's no accountability. For instance, who made the change and who kind of deployed it. So you can go back and see all the history. You can have, for example, pull request approval processes for deploying the pipelines. And then once you have these indexes, then what you can do is you can create agents. And these are kind of, you can think of essentially as AI application or AI workflow blueprints. And you can use these blueprints to create different kinds of application. So for instance, here, it is a GitHub issue resolver agent, which can take a link of a GitHub issue, understand all the context by pulling in the issue comments, looking at the issue description, but also fetching all the relevant files from the modules inside the GitHub repository, and then creating a pull request. So it's like a multi-hop agent, which starts from the link of an issue and then creates a pull request in the end. Or this is something like a deep research agent where you can combine RAG-based retrieval with web. So if you have any documents that you would like to perform deep search on, but also augment that with data from the web, then you can do that. Or for example, more advanced RAG-based agent, for example, you can do visual RAG question answering. For instance, if you can have, for instance, PDF with a lot of charts, with some tables, with some infographics. And if you just use text, then you are not able to answer all the questions, but you can use a visual model and you can take snapshots of those relevant sections of the PDF, pass it to a vision model, and then you can ask questions from those visual artifacts. And now let's take one of the templates and see how it looks under the hood. And now, similar to what we saw in the indexing flow, it's again the same builder, and here we can connect any of the index that we have. So in this case, we had the AI generated metadata, and now we can connect that index, and we can create the whole flow for a visual query pipeline. And then here we can also define which LLM are we using. So in this case, we're using an Anthropic Claude model, but it's very easy to search with a different model. So here you can see all the different generative models that are available here. So from Cohere, from Azure, from Anthropic, Hugging Face, Mistral, NVIDIA. You can even host your own Ollama models, OpenAI models, and so on. And good thing is, with one click, you can now deploy these pipelines. And what that means is DeepSet platform will provision all the right infrastructure resources for these pipelines. And then you get a full stack AI application, which means you also get a UI. So let's look into how one of these pipelines look like. So now let's say this pipeline that I already have deployed, which is a RAG chat pipeline using an OpenAI GPT-4o model. And now with one click, you can create a shareable prototype. And this is very similar to, imagine sharing a document on Google Drive. So either you can create a public link, so whoever has access to the link can share it, or you can do login required depending on the sensitivity of the data. And then you can add some description about the pipeline, even including, for example, what kind of questions the pipeline can answer. And you can even do some basic white labeling for the pipeline. So you can add your own company logo, you can add your brand color, and then you can generate a link for that. And once you have that link, you can test out the shared prototype. And now you can ask questions. So for instance, in this case, this particular pipeline contains financial earning call documents. So we can ask questions like, for example, what is the revenue of IBM? And what it will do is it will do a RAG-based retrieval and then search, and then we get the answer here. And you can also do that within the playground. So for example, you can do things like, let's try again, what is the revenue of IBM? And here you can see for all the generated answer, you can also see references where this answer is generated from within the context of the PDF as well. So here you can see, for example, it's a large PDF and the answer is coming from this page. So it's probably, it's mentioned here. So $14.5 billion is the revenue of IBM for that particular quarter. And what you can also do is, as subject matter expert, domain experts, or even end users that you're sharing these prototypes with, they can give feedback. They can give thumbs up, which is accurate, that okay, this is correct feedback, or fairly accurate, or inaccurate, thumbs down. And in addition, you can also give some description. And what that really helps us to collect feedback, and then the AI engineering team or data science team, they have opportunity to inspect the feedback. So for example, if the answer has negative feedback, then what is the reason for the negative feedback? Is the document that's retrieved, is that outdated, or it could be incorrect document has been retrieved, and so on. So that kind of captures more detailed nuances for the feedback. And then once you have a basic pipeline running, then there's also an option to do prompt engineering. So for example, here in this case, you can take up to 3 different pipelines, either the same pipeline or a different pipeline, and then have different permutation and combinations, either the same pipeline with a different prompt, or you can take a different pipeline with the same prompt, and then in real time you can give the query and compare all the different answers together and see how they perform. And with one click you can also update the prompts here directly, so the updated prompt will get reflected in the pipeline. And what you can also do is you can create your own internal prompt library. And what that means is you have an internal catalog. So every time you're creating a new AI application, a new AI workflow, you are not writing these prompts from scratch. So this way you can do prompt engineering. Then the next thing I want to show is something that's called jobs on the platform. And this is a very typical use case in many industries, which is called intelligent document processing. So imagine you are a bank and you receive several applications for loans every week. And there might be a standard set of questions that you're always asking from each of the application, and every application could include hundreds of different documents. Like, for example, if it's a business that's asking for a loan, then it could include, for example, their different contracts detailed about their their bank statement. It could include their property documents, and then you can have a standard set of questionnaire that you can use to extract information, and then the bankers can look at that information and then do faster loan processing. So it's kind of like a batch execution of queries, and I can show how one of the examples here look like. For example, in this particular case, it's like summarizing a lot of financial information that's being extracted from the quarterly earning call report. And now you can see that there are many different companies in here. So for example, this is a summary of the Alphabet quarterly earnings on different kind of categories, on financial performance, on business segment highlights, on management commentary, and so on. And for each of the sentences in the extracted report, you can also see the references. You can see which particular file this answer is coming from. So yeah, I think that's kind of a very high level overview of the whole platform, and I'm happy to take any questions from the audience.
Great job, Tanay. Give me a minute. Let's see. To make this. Yeah, that is an amazing presentation, and I have some few questions for you regarding the last demo you just did on intelligent document processing. Yeah, I know those in the financial industry and the healthcare, they do with a lot of in the healthcare they do with a lot of patient data. Because of the high level of regulation in those industry, there's a lot of non-disclosure document that has to be signed. Yeah, like in a place like the healthcare where they have like HIPAA policy, Now, if an healthcare company want to use DeepSet platform to leverage the IDP use case, does the platform has the capability of maxing personal identified information? I mean, like PII data. And it would be nice if you can explain how that actually works. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a very typical use case for masking private information. So there's different parts to this question. So one is kind of if you want to use DeepSet platform on the cloud, then we already have HIPAA compliance certificate, so it's HIPAA approved.
Mhm.
Or if you have very sensitive data that you're dealing with, then DeepSet also offers on-premise deployment, which means you can deploy the whole platform inside your own VPC. So the data always stay within your VPC, and which often helps for compliance reasons. But let's say if you want to use the platform still on the cloud, and then if you want to mask all the PII information, then you can use either, for example, regular LLMs where you can prompt them to extract IDP. So it could be one step in the index that I showed for indexing the documents, where you can have a specific node for PIA removal. So either you can use different rule-based systems if you have standard documents, but if you have a mixture of documents where a rule-based system doesn't really scale well, then
Yeah.
you can have a LLM with a prompt to have different kinds of PIA information. It could be their age, it could be their date of birth, it could be their place of birth. So for each of the PII, you can create a prompt, and then this prompt can go through every single document that you upload on the platform and then remove that, so that whenever you're building any agentic pipelines on top of this data, the PII is never sent to the model and any of the downstream processing tasks.
That is really amazing. Then, what of in the case, because I've worked on a similar project in the healthcare industry where Python was used to, will I say, to mask the data, like encrypting the data. Then, can that method be also be utilized while using DeepSet?
Yeah, yes, of course. So there's a lot of open source libraries in Python out there for masking the data. And with DeepSet, you can create any custom component. You can write your own Python code for it. You can bring in any additional Python dependencies. So if you're using any open source data anonymization library or data masking library, or even if you have any in-house proprietary Python library, you can use it with DeepSet.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, let's just talk about the first use case that you showed us. And I want us to discuss from the angle of responsible AI. Um, in building a knowledge platform like that, how do you incorporate um, bias detection, explainability, and interpretability, from the angle of the retrieval-augmented generation and also the knowledge base? You understand what I'm saying? Then, how do you make sure you incorporate these three major principles, that the output being generated by the chatbots is free of bias and also demonstrates high level of explainability and interpretability?
Yes, absolutely. So, what we do is, first of all, we have comprehensive logging and auditing for each of the queries and requests that are made on the platform. So, every time you get a user request, we also log all the intermediary steps of an agent. So, when an agent is taking decision, what was the prompt that was fed in, everything is logged. and then you can use an evaluation framework, for example, like I showed Ragas, for example, DeepEval. You can run those evaluation frameworks on the
Okay.
whole corpus that you have, and then you can have sort of compliance in place where you can check that, hey, there's no racial bias in the answers that are being produced, or there's no kind of other kind of biases which are introduced. So that
Yeah.
will ensure that you have the guardrails in your AI applications that you're building.
Okay, great. Are you able to show us that part? I think that would be a nice part to show, present to the audience. But if it's not possible, that is fine.
Yeah, I don't have a demo right now handy, but
Okay.
we can provide a link later with
Okay.
some examples on how users can add guardrails in their AI applications.
Yeah, I think that is kind of very relevant in an environment where they have established a responsible policy. Yeah, because myself as a senior AI program manager, one of the things that I do when I work with the data science team or the machine learning engineering team is I always make sure I draft a document to indicate what methodology was incorporated in terms of complying to the company responsible AI policy. Yeah, and three major components that we always focus on has to do biasness, interpretability, and explainability. And from my experience, when building AI technology, I've seen how that is being incorporated. I mean, in form of writing code and ensuring that the output that is being generated, maybe by the chatbot, is being inclusive in nature in terms of its response, and also that the response provided or generated by the chatbot is also relevant to the, will I say, to the domain or the individual, the scope, of maybe patients that are interacting with the chatbots. Yeah, because like in the healthcare, we have various, will I say, actors or personnel. Sometimes the chatbot is being built to interact with patients who maybe submit their interest for a trial, for clinical trial. And we also have what we call the healthcare professionals. We also have the caregivers. Then the chatbot have to be trained in a way that it will be able to identify this personnel. Then that is why the component of incorporating that interpretability, explainability, and also checking for biasness, ensuring that the chatbot is kind of fair when it comes to responding to these different persona. And the healthcare industry is a very diverse environment in terms of the patient. Then these are one thing that they really pay attention to when they are building AI technology. Then that's the reason why I kind of asked that question. Okay, that makes sense. I think another question for you is, at what capacity can the DeepSet platform manage different workloads? Yeah, do you want to talk about? And you can, provide your response from a high level technical, perspective. Yeah.
Absolutely. So DeepSet is built on a Kubernetes native architecture, so we can easily scale to millions of documents in terms of vector store. And we are also working with one of the largest libraries in the US, where they have almost $1 billion scale documents. And that's where we are doing the retrieval. And then we have an LLM, so it's similar to a traditional rack pipeline that's running. And then even in terms of agents, it's very easy because all of these pipelines, these are essentially stateless pipelines. So you can easily horizontally scale all of these workloads to provide real-time agents for thousands of users.
Yeah, I think that is an amazing response. Um, I think my next question would be: with the pace at which AI innovation is going, the pace is very fast. Like every week, we're getting a new update. And I think one exciting thing I like is all the co-founders are always on the media. They are always talking and working, and I really like, that kind of, will I say, I like that kind of, the way the event is going is portraying the effort and the commitment that is actually put into the development of artificial intelligence, and the effort is also put into it to get to AGI, because I believe that is one of the like I said, one of the heights that all AI innovators want to get to. Recently we heard that Oracle invested about $40 billion to get NVIDIA GPU. We didn't know Oracle too was part of the race. Even people thought Google too wasn't out of it, not until Google I/O, and a lot of people are now, talking, and that is really amazing. Now, how does DeepSet help organization to be able to leverage all these new models? Like, how long does it take you guys to provide access to your clients, maybe your current users or potential customers? They would like to know, how frequent do you update, this new model? Like, there was a time DeepSet came in, and it took a lot of organization, maybe like AWS, maybe almost a month before, DeepSeek rather, before DeepSeek was on their platform. Then, do you want to talk about how long does it take for you guys to make some of these new models available on your platform?
Yeah, I think now every new model that's coming out in the market, it only takes a couple of days before there are APIs available for these models, and the hosted model services are provided. And good thing is with DeepSet, the architecture is so modular that you
Okay.
don't have to change your applications to switch to a new model. So let's say you're using a Llama model today, and tomorrow a new version of Llama comes out or a DeepSeek model comes out, then all you need to do is to evaluate whether on your given workload is this new model improving the accuracy and the response times for your end users. And and if it is, then it's a single click change, and you can roll out the change to your end users.
Yep, I agree with you. Then, regarding the models, we all know the trade war between China and, and the US. Like, what? How does the decision looks like internally before you guys decide? Let us assume the model is from China. How quickly do you guys make that decision? Because I believe there's always a concern. There was a time they said DeepSeek was using people's data, and so then how do you guys, kind of make that internal decision properly with your legal team? Yeah.
Yeah, we usually leave the decision of models that any enterprise wants to use to them.
Okay.
And if you're using an open source model, then the origin of the model doesn't really matter for
Okay.
compliance reasons, because even let's say DeepSeek is a model that didn't originate from the US, but you can still use DeepSeek model which is hosted in the US, and you can even host that in your own private cloud account, which means it's completely secure. You have access to it. You can run all the compliance auditing on it. But if you're using a hosted provider, then you need to be careful and look into the terms and condition of how the data that you are sending to the model is getting used.
Yeah. That is a very important point, and that's good to know. And my last question, we have a lot of followers from my audience. Some are graduate students, and some people are probably aspiring to pursue a career in the area of, machine learning engineering. You are the lead AI engineer for DeepSet. What would be your advice for those who want to start a career as an AI engineer, machine learning engineer? And another thing I also want you to consider in your response is with the new concept of vibe coding. Yeah, do you suggest that they should just become vibe coders, or do you, with the way, because we've had things from Mark Zuckerberg saying at a point they might not need software engineers again. Then what what is your opinion or your stand on that?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and definitely AI is changing the role of software engineers a lot. And my personal take is in the future, it will be very valuable to augment your technical skills with also domain expertise. So pick any particular industry where you're interested in. So for example, we talked a bit about healthcare, so understanding the different workflows for healthcare, or let's say it could be manufacturing, and understanding different workflows for manufacturing, and then seeing how software can sort of augment that, because now a lot of these domain experts are now getting empowered by AI to become software engineers, but you still need that domain expertise to properly instruct AI on what to build. So that kind of answers the first part of the question. And the second part, for vibe coding, I think that's very interesting. The vibe coding is the quality is definitely increasing day by day, but still there's a lot of value in understanding the very basic fundamentals of programming so that you are properly, meaningfully able to guide AI generated code, and you can figure out, hey, like if it's going in a direction that you wouldn't like, then you're able to sort of course correct. So that's definitely, there's a lot of value in understanding basic programming construct. But at the same time, until 5 years ago, where engineers every 2 years, 3 years, they would have to pick up a new programming language,
Yeah,
that's not really necessary anymore, because they can
yeah.
just pick up the programming fundamentals of one programming language, and it's easy to apply those fundamentals to a different programming language or a entirely different code base.
Yep, that is a great answer. I totally agree with you. Um, I know DeepSet have like an open source platform where members of the public can be a part of it. Do you want to talk about that? How they can be a part? Where can they find it on the web?
Yes, absolutely. It's the open source framework that DeepSet has is called Haystack. You can find that on GitHub. So just search for GitHub Haystack. And we have a very active community with thousands of organizations around the world who are using Haystack in production scale deployments. And there's a very active community, so you can participate in GitHub discussions. You can also join a Discord channel. You can find the Discord link on the GitHub page. And there's a lot of users. We have sort of community guides, volunteers who are there and who can help you get started on your AI journey as well. And yeah, Haystack is a very mature framework. It's been around longer than possibly the LLMs, because when the framework was built, there was still BERT models and extractive QA models. So it's kind of like this pre AI hype, and there's a lot of effort that went into building really production grade, high quality applications with Haystack.
Well, yeah, I think that's a great resources for you guys. Go join the community if you want to get make your hand dirty, get some hands-on skills. I would suggest you join those community, and also check out the Haystack GitHub too and follow them. And yeah, that is the only way you can The rate at which the innovation is taking place is very fast. I tell people the only way you can keep up to date is by attending seminars, webinars like this, signing up for newsletter, and joining a meaningful community. That is the only way you can be there. Just like today, I'm in here in San Francisco, the Moscone Center. I'll be attending Snowflake. Their conference is kicking off today, and after that, I'll be going to Paris for another conference as well. Then that is the only way to keep up to it, and so that you don't become obsolete and you don't become one of those that AI would displace or will take their job away from them. Tani, I really want to appreciate you. Thank you for your time. I think one demo I would like us to have in our next episode, um, I would like us to look the guardrails, within the DeepSet platform, and how your the current customers or potential customers can actually leverage them. Because I think the reason why some organizations are kind of slow in terms of adopting artificial intelligence, because they don't know how safe will their customer data be on that platform. You understand? But I think if they are able to stumble on a product demo like this, knowing that if they use this set platform, they don't have to worry about their customer data, that the platform itself have some, like I said, rigid or established guardrails to help them protect their customer data in every phase or journey of the AI lifecycle. And I think it would be nice if we can have a demo on that, and maybe also play with some data too, maybe some um, PII data, and see how those data are being encrypted on Mars as well. Thank you so much, and everyone, I want to appreciate you for joining this first episode of AI Spotlight Show product demo. This is our first product demo, and we also want to thank Jay, and also thank everyone from DeepSet for making this a reality. We're so happy, and we are going stronger day by day. Today, definitely, I'm going to interview about 3 or 4 companies on site during the conference. I'm looking forward to also go to France. There's a conference called Viva Technology. I'll be kicking off on the 11th of June. Yeah, in Paris, and the Paris now is bubbling. PSG lifted the Champions League. Then this is a great time to actually visit France, and I'll be visiting PSG myself. Yeah, I want to go on a tour and enjoy the atmosphere. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining this episode.